What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next, got a pretty awesome unboxing here. This one up here is 3 books that just came back from CGC, just got graded, and then this one here has 2 pretty incredible books I picked up in an Instagram claim sale. I've also got another raw book that I picked up on eBay that I'd already opened up. Let's just show that one, talk about that book too. So let's get into these. All right, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So if you haven't watched one of these videos before, one of my CGC return videos, I don't check the grades beforehand. I've got my grade estimates written down here that I made that video about before this. When I sent them off, I record all the grades, everything that I think they're gonna be. Then I open up the box and take out the books. I bring it down from the top so I can't see the grade, you can't see the grade. We reveal it together and we see how I did. If I got better than my estimate, worse than my estimate, all that kind of thing. Now the other book here, or the other books here, these are 2 books that I picked up from an Instagram claim sale. I've talked about this seller a number of times before. I picked these up from Marveled Comics, a sale that was hosted by Newsstand Comic Collector. I can't remember if this one was through Grails or not, but yeah, from Marveled Comics, 2 pretty awesome books. And I'm going to start with these. These are definitely 2 books that I'm going to be taking a look at to see if there's any potential for cracking them out, pressing, resubmitting, see if we can get a higher grade with them. So that brings us to the sponsor of this video, the Comic Book Presser. If you've watched my CGC unboxings on this channel, almost all of those books were pressed and cleaned by the Comic Book Presser before getting graded by CGC. He does incredible work on all kinds of books. I've had him press Golden Age books from 1940 all the way up to moderns from 2020, Silver Age magazines, and everything in between. He has very reasonable prices and is also a CGC certified dealer and will pass his savings on to you if you have him submit your books through him. If you're looking to get some books pressed and clean, make sure to check him out on Instagram and through his website. His contact information is in the details of this video. All right, so we're back. I'm going to start with these 2 books because these are 2 pretty incredible books. I think we'll start off with something really fun with these. And so I'm going to start with these 2 books. And like I said, these ones, I am definitely going to be taking a look at these for the potential to resubmit them for grade bumps. I take a look at every book, but these ones, I'll talk about why I'm a little more interested with these, just because of kind of where they are in terms of grades. But definitely we'll be taking a look at this one. Let's see, let's get this tape off. So these are always packed really well. This one was, you can see here, it was actually double boxed. So we have this box, and then inside of it, we have another box. So these 2 books definitely were not cheap. These were some pricey books. So I really do always appreciate the great shipping with that, because then you're never concerned that something's going to happen to them. And you know, anything can happen in shipping. You know, you always try to package things as best you can. You can only prevent so much, but as long as you can try to prevent it, it's always appreciated. So, all right, so then inside this box here, we now have the 2 books that are in a bunch of bubble wrap. I also like getting a bunch of bubble wrap, so then I can just reuse that when I ship my own books out.
A few moments later.
One of these, I've definitely looked for a copy of this a number of times. The other one, I've seen it go up on sales before. I don't know if I've ever bid on it before. I have never owned either of these 2. But talk about why I am really interested in these. I mean, I was happy with them regardless. I mean, if I don't think they have the possibility for a regrade, then it is what it is. But it's always good to take a look. Sometimes you'll see pressable defects on a book, and maybe it has the potential to grade higher, but it's not worth taking the risk because either, say you get a half grade bump, if it costs more to get it pressed and regraded and all that kind of stuff, it's not worth it. But these ones, we're going to start with this one right here. And this is Witch's Tales number 23 in an absurdly high grade. This is from 1953, a 9.0. This is a file copy. There are actually only there's one book that's graded higher. There's one book that is a 9.2, and there are 2 copies that are at a 9.0. And so the reason I'm interested in this one and just really checking this one out, and it's definitely got a couple spine ticks. I mean, it's a 9.0, but it's because if you can get up, at least to tie with that top of census, that'd be pretty awesome. I mean, there's only 24 total on the census. This one is, only 1 graded higher. So that is a big deal anyway. It's already an incredible book. I mean, you can see, like, it's got pretty good sized spine tick here and a couple more down here, but definitely a book that I think will be worth taking a close look at to see if it has that potential. I've only ever had, I think I have had 2 top of census books. I talk about that Baffling Mysteries one that I have that's way top of census, like a 9.6. But then it would be pretty cool to get, another one in the golden age. So yeah, Witch's Tales number 23. Witch's Tales has some really popular covers, some cool covers. This is another one of these pretty cool skull covers from the run. I like the purple background, but 9.0 from 1953 is just crazy, and definitely one that I'll take a close look at to see if there's any potential for this book, to see if maybe it can get up to that 9.2. Now, the other one, the reason that I'm interested in checking this one out too, is that this one is also very close to that upper end of the census. So this book is Voodoo number 14. So this isn't a 5.0. The highest grade that's been recorded sold is actually just a 5.0. Now, there are 3 graded higher than this one. There are 2 5.5s and 1 7.0. I'm not under any illusion that it could, get the 7.0, but if you could maybe bump up and get to that 5.5, so then you now just have 1 graded higher, that's something else that could be a, really solid bump for this book. So definitely a book that I'll be taking a close look at if I think that there's any potential. I'd say it definitely looks like a 5. Is it worth the risk to see if maybe it can get that 5.5? Who knows? Maybe. But pretty cool skull cover. You've got the beauty queen contest with the skull doing kind of like the judging, but you can see here he's got their birth dates and then their death, the day they died, written on the ledger. So creepy cover, cool one, not one that you see very often. This is a pretty uncommon book. The Voodoo run itself is a pretty obscure, pretty rare run. You don't see issues from this run very often, and especially this one, obviously in a very presentable grade, only 3 graded higher. I think there are like 5 in this grade. So it's like 5 here, then 2 in a 5.5, then 1 in the 7.0. So that's why getting up to that 5.5 would be pretty cool. Again, only 23 copies on census, so not a book that you'll see very often. Now, before we jump into the CGC books, I just had one other book that I picked up off eBay recently. Really low grade. It's probably a 0.5. It's somewhere between a 0.5 and a 1. And this one is a pretty rare book. This is Pep Comics number 49. This is really early Archie. It's got a completely split spine. I think the centerfold was attached. It's all complete. It's all there. It's just got, some pretty big pieces missing from the bottom. Like I said, split spine, but this book is not common. There are actually a couple up on eBay, and part of the reason for that, I think, is just because it's worth so much in any grade. And so I had a chance to pick this one up, and I jumped at the opportunity, and yeah, very happy with it. I think one of the things that hurt the sale on this one, and this is just something, to maybe be aware of if you're selling books, the seller started with a auction price that was relatively high, but low compared to the value of this book. And when you do that, sometimes it just keeps people away. And so I ended up winning it for the opening auction price, and which I was really happy with. The other thing was, I think they used some like color adjustment on the first image to make everything look like brighter, and it almost made the cover look fake. And so I wonder if, some people saw it and thought maybe it was like a fake cover or something. But if you looked at the additional pictures, it was in its normal tone, and you could tell everything looked normal. So yeah, but a pretty cool, rare, early Archie. I can't remember what year this one is from, like 1943 or something like that. But early Archie. Archie made his start in Pep Comics. His first appearance is in Pep Comics number 22. And so this is issue 49. So this is the other one I picked up. I just thought it's a cool book just because I don't see that one come up for sale very often. All right, now these. There are 3 books in here. The reason these ones came back quicker than the other books I sent out was that these ones did not need to be pressed first. The reason being that they were already either low grade or in a condition that didn't look to me like pressing was going to help them. Now, most of the books that I send out do get pressed first. So I sent out 2 separate submissions basically to CGC. I sent one directly to them, which included like 7 books that I was getting just recased. I wanted the new labels on them. One of them was a crack case. The other ones were some pedigree labels. And then there were 6 books that I didn't want to have pressed first, just either because I felt the spine was fragile or it was already a low grade or something like that. But then I have another submission that's like 50 books, and those all went to the comic book presser. He's actually pressing them right now. And so once he's done, they'll get sent off to CGC and I'll be starting to get those back. But this was the first one that came back. It was actually, I was really impressed with this. So I sent these in, they got them on, I think tracking showed they showed up at CGC on like February 27th. They opened them on February 28th. So right away, I didn't have an express book or anything in there. So they opened these right away without any special markings on the box to get them open quickly. Then they had them graded and shipped back. I had them show up on the 13th. So opened on the 28th of February. I had them back by the 13th, under 2 weeks for a fast track economy submission. So fast track economy without fast track, very slow right now. that's always been slow, or always been slow for a while now. Still is very slow, but the fast track option, really quick. The other books were actually a standard submission, and those ones aren't even shipped out yet. So this one actually beat the standard submission. I want to make sure I don't see these, so I'm gonna flip them over here. And so that it's a surprise for me, it's a surprise for you. So yeah, so CGC was getting these back really quick. Super impressed with that. Processed really quick, and hopefully I'll be getting the other ones back pretty soon too. So let's see what the first book here is. So like I said, I'm not going to show the top because I don't want to see the grade, and you won't see the grade either until I bring the book fully down. So this is Hand of Fate. I think it's like number 17, something like that. Can't remember this. I think these don't have the issue on the front. I think it's like Hand of Fate number 17. Now I had this one estimated at a 4 to a 4.5. It looked really nice already, almost like it had been pressed. So I felt like maybe this one had been pressed. There was a little bit of a stacking curl on the spine, but otherwise looked really, really smooth. And so I didn't feel like it was worth it to send this one in for pressing. I didn't think it would really benefit from it. I had it as a 4 to a 4.5. Let's see how we did. Nice, 5.5. That is, I'm very happy with that. And I mean, like I said, this is a really solid presenting book. I mean, you can see if you can tell. I mean, it's got that stacking curl over here, but it was really, really smooth. I mean, you can see there's really like no indentations or anything on it. And it's got a little chip out of the corner down here. I think it had, yeah, a little bit of creasing on the back, on the bottom. If I remember correctly, I think it had some staining or tanning where I felt like that's what was really going to knock it down. I actually have my other phone here so I can scan the QR code so we can take a look at the grader's notes and see what's actually going on with this book. Oh, it's not working. All right, so what I'm going to do is, so you can see the reason it's not working, the QR code is shifted down, and so it's behind the plastic, and so it can't actually scan it. So I'm going to go to the CGC page. So I'll cut and I'll be right back.
2,000 years later.
All right, so we're back. So the grader's notes are light spine stress lines to cover, moderate cover tanning, moderate creasing to cover, very light tears to cover. And so the tanning, I remember on this one, is what really concerned me because I've been getting just hammered on tanning on books that I've been sending in. And, but yeah, really, really solid presenting copy of this one. and very happy with the grade. I mean, I was expecting a 4 to a 4.5. I really hit it for the tanning. You don't see it so much on the outside, but it was definitely on the interior of the cover. And that's why I got the moderate tanning. I'd been saying I have not seen anything with moderate tanning get, I don't think, above a 6.5. I think that's the highest grade I've personally gotten with moderate tanning. They've just been hammering books with it. So I'm really cautious with tanning now. But yeah, cool pre-code horror book. Hand of Fate, yeah, number 17, 1953, 5.5. Let's see where this one is on the census. That's one of the cool things about all these, you know, the CGC having all the free stuff on here now. So there are 15 copies on census. There are 5 graded higher. So this one's kind of right in the middle, upper end, you know, the upper 2/3. So 5 graded higher, solid percentage copy. So that's the first one. All right, let's see what's next. So yeah, those QR codes are nice, but I've had that happen a few times where they're shifted down in behind the plastic and then you can't scan them, which is kind of annoying. All right, okay, so this is Startling Comics number 41. Picked this one up from Alex the Comic Hoarder. So my concern with this book is it presents really solid, but the staple was rusty, which I'm not really concerned about staple rust with this type of grade book, but it was only attached at the back cover. And so my concern with this one was if I sent it in for pressing, that it would almost certainly get detached. There's really high risk of detachment. And I graded it assuming CGC was going to detach this cover. So I was just like, I've had some bad experiences with books that have kind of like fragile-ish type spines or staples that are barely attached, and I've had CGC either detaching them or split the spines. It's always a risk, and so I think I even put a sticky note on this one where I said only attach back cover, please handle carefully. You can do that, you know, put little notes on the books you send in if there's things you're especially concerned about. So I had given it an estimate of a 2.0 because I was thinking this would probably come back detached. So let's see. Oh man, it did not. That means it is not detached in off-white to white pages. That is awesome. Okay, so this is a Schomburg cover. Like I said, it's a solid presenting copy, but I was concerned this was going to get detached, so I basically went as conservative as I could and was thinking I was going to end up getting a 2.0, but a 4.0. Let's see if I can scan this one. This one looks like it might be able to scan it. Yep, that one worked. Okay, so staple detached front cover. So yes, so the staple is still attached on the back cover. That's why it could get the 4.0. If it was detached on both, probably not. It would probably get something more like a 2.5. But heavy staining to cover, light tears to cover, moderate creasing to cover, moderate spine stress lines to cover. So yeah, you can see the back. It's one of these books that, like, it had some, you know, there's some dirt on the back. There's some things that would probably benefit from pressing, but it's just, I did not want to risk, you know, working on the book or anything like that and the potential detachment of that staple, because you see it's a rusty staple. It's a lot of risk there if you're going to try to work on this one. But a solid presenting copy, which is why it got a 4.0. 1946 atomic bomb cover. This is Pyro Man, if you're not familiar with this character. Alex Schomburg, who did just tons of incredible covers. And yeah, super cool book. Really, that is awesome. Really happy with that. That was very unexpected. I was setting myself up, you know, that I was expecting the worst, and it's always nice to get the positive surprise on that, because yeah, I was assuming that was going to get detached. All right, let's see if we can get positive surprises on all of these. So that means the last one here is Suspense Comics number 2. This is not a book you see very often. The early Suspense Comics are extremely uncommon, very rare books. You don't see them come up. This one is definitely going to get a restored label. I'm almost certain it's going to get a restored label. I think I did a video on it where I did the black light, and you can see it's not glue, it's called like rice tape, something like that, that's on the spine and on the interior staples at the centerfold. And so I'm expecting a purple label on this one. I had it estimated as a 1.5 restored. There's tape all along the spine. It's a smooth book. Like, I'll show it better later, but you can tell, like, it doesn't really need, this is an example of one that didn't really need pressing. And because the spine was, I think, almost completely split and tape all over it and the restoration, I didn't see that this book would benefit any from pressing because of those major flaws. So we got it as a 1.5 restored. All right, we got a 2.0 restored. C1, yeah, and restoration includes cover and interior reinforced. So that must be what that, what they're calling that rice tape or whatever it was. So let's take a look at this one.
A few moments later.
So cover and interior reinforced, heavy tape spine, light pieces out of cover, moderate creasing to cover. But like I said, not a book that you will see very often. First appearance of the Mask, I don't know who the Mask is. But this is a Nina Albright cover. I really like this cover. I think this is a really well done cover. Just great colors on this one. It's definitely got a different type of heading style, this way that Suspense is done. Once L.B. Cole starts doing the covers, he has his own style that he uses. He starts the covers on issue number 4. Issue number 3 is one of the most in-demand books of the entire Golden Age. It's an Alex Schomburg cover. And yeah, issue number 3 is one of those kind of like dream goal type books for me that I don't know if I'll ever get. But I do have issues number 1, 2, and 4 now. But yeah, this one, really happy with that. 2.0. C1 restoration. If you're not familiar with restoration, C means that it's amateur, 1 means there is a small amount of it. So yeah, really happy with that. Cool book. Again, not one that you're going to see very often. You can see the tape is much more obvious on the spine here with this. But again, just the reason I didn't send this one in to get pressed first is I just didn't think it would benefit from it. It was already going to be a low grade, and you've got like a little piece out here, and like I said, the main thing is the spine damage. That was just going to hold this book back, so I didn't think that this one was justified to send in to have more work done to it. But yeah, really happy with these. So I mean, Suspense Comics number 2, 2.0, and so I was expecting a 1.5. Definitely the big surprise was this one, Startling 41, getting a 4.0 instead of a 2.0. Just, yeah, the cover definitely still attached, so I'm glad I put that. I'm almost certain I put that note on there for this one, so I wanted them to be careful with it, and it seems like they were. And then last one here, Hand of Fate number 17, another nice little surprise. Thought I'd get a 4 to a 4.5, got a 5.5. The really beautiful copy, but just has some tanning. That's probably really what held it back the most. But yeah, that's all the books. Hope you enjoyed this video. Saw some cool books, maybe some books you haven't seen before. If you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.